Hi guys, it's Coach Joe Micela with Performance One Advanced Sports Training, 2012 Olympic team coach. Been asked a couple questions about lifting etiquette, both in a gym setting and in competition, both locally and even now on the national level. Over the years, obviously as weightlifting has grown, there's been this huge influx of people, that have come into our sport. And not everyone has come into the sport that's had the privilege to have worked with a previous experienced coach of some degree of age, so that they've been around for a while. They can kind of go over these rules, these unwritten rules in the sport of weightlifting, and how to conduct yourself, both again in a training environment in your own gym, if you're traveling to a gym, but also local and national levels. In some situations, you have to be respectful to the past and be respectful to those ways. That makes a huge difference in our sport. And a couple of those things, when you're training at your gym, people get very territorial to their platform. You can't. Yes, you may like it for whatever reason, but if you want to be a competitive lifter, you need to know that you have to look and train in different environments. That's even within your gym. So you have a gym that has 6, 8, 10 platforms. Don't always go to the one in the corner. You need to change it up. Well, this coach, I don't like going on this platform because it's a high trafficked area and people always walk in front of me. Well, one, the people should be taught, don't walk directly in front of someone, to the side of them or behind them when they are training and lifting at a weight that's above about a certain percentage. Whatever your gym determines that at. If it's 85%, 90%, give that athlete the respect. They're going heavy. They're going in a percentage range that they need their concentration. Okay. Now, they're warming up at the bar. Doesn't mean you can't walk in front of them. Okay. Also, that athlete who's lifting needs to know that I can still perform this lift knowing that someone did walk in front of me or someone did distract me. A long time ago, I used to train my Olympic weightlifters in a public Gold's gym. It was every day that people staring at us or walking in front of us, and we had to be mindful of that, but we also had to block it out. Some people think it's like you're being in church. It's not. You have to be able to train and compete with different things that happen, because then if that situation is presented to you in a competition, whether it be local or national, and you freak out, that's on you, because you didn't prepare yourself for that situation. You weren't able to block it out. Now, obviously, for their safety and your safety, if you are running forward with a lift, you don't want to hurt them, or they don't see you and you do have to drop it, say behind you, and they're standing behind you, you didn't notice it, then you don't want anybody hurt. But again, good etiquette of understanding those rules, whether it's in your gym or you're traveling to a new gym, If people are snatching all crazy and they're running across the platform, yeah, by all means, don't be standing in front of them, but know that etiquette. Know when it's appropriate to get up and change the weights, when it's not. Big one, again, is knowing your environment, not walking directly in front of somebody, and giving them the respect. Again, doing a heavy back squat versus doing a heavy clean and jerk, a little different. Doing a heavy snatch versus doing, just a deadlift. And these comes with your maturity. But then again, if you don't know these things, ask, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just doing a deadlift. Okay, no problem. Okay. Oh, you're just doing this particular exercise. You're just warming up. Yeah, you can walk in front of me. It's not a big deal. Okay. Always ask, in a polite manner, so then you don't disturb that particular athlete as their mental preparation routine going into that particular lift. Okay. And again, you go, oh, it's only 40 kilos on the bar. But you got to remember, that may be that 40 kilos may be that person's 90%. Okay, so, give them that respect. So whether it's 40 kilos or it's 180 kilos and they're trying to snatch it, just give them that respect, because then they will appreciate that down the road. And then don't be territorial about that platform. I remember someone would get pissed when they would come in and there's someone already working on their platform and be like, don't they know that I work out there? I'm like, no, it's not yours. You don't own that spot. Go to a different spot, or you wait, or you work in with that person. But you're not going to big dog that person off that platform. That's a huge thing. First off, when you're training, in our gym and gyms that I've been a part of, that when you're using weights, never double stack, a pair of 25s on there, you have a pair of 10s on there, and then you have a pair of 5s on there. So you have 100 kilos on a man's bar, and now all of a sudden you're like, I need to go to 110, and no one's looking. I'm just going to throw another pair of 5s on top of there. Don't double stack those 5s. For one, it's just not respected. Plus, you may be in a gym where other people are sharing weights all the time, and now you're occupying a double set, which is not good. The most egregious one is the guy or the girl that puts on like 15 10s, because they're the weight to look big. Now you're the only person in the gym, you're lazy, you're tired, whatever, go nuts. But don't do that when you're in a gym, okay? Another thing of courtesy and etiquette is don't stack extra weight on 10s. So if you had that 40 kilos on the bar, okay, once you get to 50, put on the yellow 15s. Don't keep adding metal change to that. Because what? The 10s are the most, flimsy of their weights. And if you're dropping that weight considerably without extra support or without extra weight on top of it, you're gonna just shorten the lifespan of those weights, okay? And also when dropping the weights, make sure it's even. Don't let it get like crazy. Don't do what we call asshole dump, where you just drop it from over the head. And never barbell slam the bar down. Again, people that do that usually do it with weights they don't own, okay? Or the gym, it says, like I said, be respectful for those weights. Don't slam an empty bar. Don't just drop it on the ground. And you may even see, I saw like, Lu Xiaozhu doing it at the World Championships. I don't give a shit. It's not respected, okay? Take care of that equipment. Plus, you don't own the equipment that he's using. Most of the gyms, like I said, you own that equipment. You want to keep it around for a while. Some of your bars could be upwards of $900 to $1,000. Take care of that equipment. Taking care of that equipment is obviously good. Again, be respectful to your peers around you, okay? We want to be able to share that weight with other people. Go to the next bigger denomination of the weight that you can. When to work in with somebody and when to not. As we said earlier, picking someone that is roughly either A, on the same exercise you are or program that you're in, or, like I said, it's in a weight that is comparable to you, or a weight that say, I'm clean and jerking, but they're snatching, and, their clean and jerk is basically what I'm going to work up to in snatch. Well, we can work together, okay, in that situation. Now, where it gets a little crazy is you get into competitions. Local competitions, 100% of the time, you're going to share. You're going to share a platform warming up with somebody. So does that mean, too, as an etiquette rule, do I go, well, my program says that I'm supposed to be at, 32.5%, and that means that I have to put 41 kilos on the bar. Well, let's just go to 40. Make the numbers and your jumps and your attempts more comparable to everyone who's now sharing with you. Would be one other person or two other people can make those jumps real easy. You or your coach are not running around putting a 1 kilo plate on or a half kilo plate on here or there until it gets up to, obviously 2 or 3 attempts out from your opener, and you realize that, I need to be more dialed in. But if it says 41 and it's like a 30% percentage for you or a 50% percentage, just make it 40. Make them even numbers that it's easy for whoever's working with you can just go, boom, 40, 45, 50, 55, boom, boom. Now I need to go to 57, maybe even a 59 because I'm open at 61. That's understandable towards the tail end of it. I had to tell a coach too, like, hey, you can't be this precise with your kids, all their warm-up attempts to that percentage degree. Well, it says 32.5%. I understand that, but let's be smart about it. Okay, let's do this. This is going to help you out. If they're sharing their own platform, yeah, you could do that. But even for you, if you're running back and forth, counting attempts, you're coming back and go, oh, did I put that half kilo plate on or not? Well, it's far enough out that you don't have to worry about it if it's one of their first 5 warm-up attempts. Again, when it gets a little closer, then you can be a little bit more precise. Again, you want to pick someone that you're working with. But also, too, you don't want to pick someone that is direct competitor of yours. Unfortunately, I've had that happen on several different occasions because we didn't know each other. And they were like, hey, you want to share a platform? Yeah, okay, what's your person warming up with? Or attempt, ballpark, oh, okay, we're kind of right around the same range. Next thing you know, we're going, this is coming down to me and her, this other person for a gold medal. Now it's awkward, but also be helpful to that other person. This same situation, I had a female athlete. She was lifting at the junior national championships, didn't know a lot about her coach, didn't know a lot about the girl. Next thing you know, we're lifting and opening right around the same numbers, to the point where our warm-ups were almost the same. To the point where her coach, who was very inexperienced, came in from a different background, I'll say it now, being a douchebag, okay? He basically saw that we were taking roughly the same attempts, and he would just tell his girl basically to take whatever we put on the bar, to the point where he sat down and I was loading the weights for my girl, and he would just tell his girl just basically take whatever she's taking. To the point where I just said, I grabbed another bar and said, we're lifting on this bar, you lift on that one, because I'm not friggin' loading your weights for you, okay? And he looked at me like I was the asshole. And I was like, no, dude, you're being a lazy mother effer. This is how this is going to work. Get your ass up. Tell me what you're taking next. Let's help each other out, okay? We'll let the girls figure it out on the platform, but right now, don't be a douchebag to each other. Now, was I going to stop what I was doing and pull him aside and give him a history lesson on the etiquette of weightlifting? No, I was also competing against the guy. So if he wanted to make a mistake, he could have. So, learn that stuff. As a young coach, learn to ask questions. Hey, what's your name? Okay, can I help you? What are you taking next? We're going to take this one more time. Is it all right? Then you have a situation like it was a female bar, so it was a 15-kilo bar, and we were taking multiple at one set at say 35, and then we were gonna go to 45, but not yet. He was ready to go to 45 kilos for his girl. And I said, hey, is it all right, instead of you putting the 15s on, because we have to do another one at 35, can we just add the 5s? Now in this particular case, because it is, a competition, it's okay, but not every day in your training. They would put 5s on 10s to do the 45. You just don't want to do it all the time in training, but in the competition, I was like, listen, we need to take 35 one more time. I know you need 45. Let's just put this 5s on right now because we're going to take them off. It'll be faster than taking off a 15 every time. And he was like, oh, okay. And same thing, talk to each other without being overbearing. I know, I could be that way sometimes. Let them know, hey, if you don't mind, let's leave this as a base of 55. I need it one more time, and then you're going to go to 60, 65, but I need 55 one more time. Okay. Instead of he's ripping the weights off and he's putting 25 kilo plates on there, like, whoa, dude, slow down. Let's work together. Okay, boom. And sometimes it does take where you have to get another bar. Okay, you say, hey, we're going to have to get another bar. Oh, it's a girl session. There's a guy session over there. There's an extra 15. We're going to bring it over. We're just so different and everything's log jammed that we can't move. We can't switch platforms at this point. Now, the problem is like who shares which weights. Different story for another time, but you just make it work, okay? I personally don't believe that any of our national competitions, we should have to share training hall or warm-up platform. I think USA Weightlifting has to do a better job about that. I think they're ignorant to the sport and they're ignorant. You did all this training, get to a national level, especially A sessions. You shouldn't have to share a training a warm-up platform. There's one less thing that you have to worry about is now fighting with someone. Because I've also been in a situation where I was like, who takes what when? Well, I need to take this right now. Well, my girl needs to take this right now. And then it's like, turns around and goes, our coach goes, well, now we're up. We needed to take that last warm-up. You took it in place of us. And they get screwed, So you have to communicate these things. And sometimes things pop up, but you have to communicate these things. And that's why sharing platforms is not great. It shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be allowed. It only, you did all this training, all this warming up, preparing yourself for this competition. And now, because of a glitch, because of now you're out of whack because you're sharing something with somebody else. Again, get to know people in your session. If you've been doing it long enough, you get to know some of these coaches, and hopefully you have, some people are better to share with, some people are not. You want to have a good rhythm within that you're doing that. Better situations are where you have 2 sessions. Again, without being a jerk about it, you have to learn these little rules. You have to learn how to have demeanor and how to give them an idea. Another big thing that we see both at local competitions, and this is an etiquette thing, is people who change their opening attempts. It's a local competition. Your kid's lifting 30 kilos. And at the last minute, he's the first one up, and you go, you know what? He's going to 35. Why? Why couldn't you just put 35 in there? And this was a big thing with me and one of our former national coaches. He even said to me, he's like, Joe, he was not from America, he was from another country, and he was like, I don't understand why you guys do this. It's a local competition. It's for them to get experience. Don't do this. Don't fake your opener. It's like bluffing in cards. You're basically not trying to show your hand. It's a local competition. Yes, you're trying to compete. Maybe you're trying to compete with somebody else, but it's still a local competition. Play your hand, especially if it's a beginner, especially if it's a newbie. Don't sit there and change it. Now, if there's something, he looked better, he looked worse in training and warming up, his last warm up like dog shit, I got to drop him down or I got to move him. Hey, he looks awesome. I want to move him up. I had a window of we didn't know at the time he was weighing in if he was going to be 30 or 35. We picked 30, but you know what? He's really ready for 35. Oh, great. Okay, no problem. But doing it all the time with all your athletes at a local competition is dumb. The next big thing with that is, what's your second attempt? Again, I don't care if maybe you're going for a medal or not. In local competitions, again, unless it is you are cutthroat, lift for lift with somebody else, just put in your next attempt. Help the loaders out. Help the flow of the competition. Another big problem with that is at national competitions. Unless you're an A session or a high B session lifter, put in your next attempt right away. You're an F session lifter and you put in a bogus opener that you're going to change, and then you put in bogus second and third attempts because you're going to psych out somebody, is bullshit. It slows the competition down. And let's be honest, you're in an F session for a reason. You're not ready to compete for a high level. Get in, get out. Okay, now, there's some times that you have to practice that as a coach. When should you practice that? Bluffing your opener, bluffing your second attempt, putting in a different weight, and then changing it the last second. Maybe when you're, again, a high level B, a low level A, you practice that, okay? Not all the time at a local competition, and not every time you do it at a national competition. That it slows things down. Also, if you're following yourself on a 2-minute clock, both locally and nationally. Again, unless it's someone who's going for a very heavy weight, what's very heavy? For that particular person, they're the last person lifting in the session. That's heavyweight, okay? They're the last person, girl or guy, lifting in their session. Not someone who's just following themselves and they're third in as the start of the competition. Go right to your next weight. Don't try to slow the clock down for that athlete, okay? Just let them put in that. Either it's a repeat Or if the next one taking that weight and then the next person is 15 kilos more, just put in your next weight. They got to be able to take it on a 2-minute clock. Now the kid is like, asthmatic and they're dying in between and you need to slow it down a little bit, maybe one time. Okay, again, unless they're the last person in the session, and even in that situation, at local competitions, I usually only stop at one time. One time. National competitions, maybe we stop it twice, maybe we declare, maybe do something else. Again, if they're in a situation where we're either competing for a medal, we're right there, we're third, fourth, we're right there, we're going for it, in that A session category, maybe in a high B because you're trying to get practice with them and as yourself as a coach, but not anything you're like the bottom of the B or anything below that. Just put your next attempt in. Okay, well, I want to do 1 kilo better than Stevie over here. Okay, but don't make it a habit every time. It's not good for your athlete, okay? Be respectful to the sport. Take that athlete, take that next jump. Again, maybe you stop at 1 time, 2 times. Again, it's a very heavy lift. They're going for a medal. They just came off a heavy clean and jerk, but never 2 times for a snatch. Come on, man. You got to be able to take that rest interval. I don't care if you're a super heavyweight. You should be in better shape than that. Okay, heavy clean and jerk's a different story. It knocked you on your ass. You needed a little extra moment. You got a little lightheaded. I can understand it if you're following yourself. And it's in an A session, again, but not, again, you're the F session, tough shit. You got to go for it. You got to suck it up and you got to go. So those are the things, like I said, some of the things that we're looking for that they're not really told to you, okay? Another big one is training halls at competitions, both nationally and even internationally. Unfortunately, this comes down from a top down. USA Weightlifting is horrible about enforcing the training hall environment. Anybody and their brother can come over there and just jump into a workout. There's been competitions, even the most recent national competition that we were at, where athletes who needed to train couldn't get on the platforms at an appropriate time because 80% of the people in there training were not competing. Coaches, friends, family, teammates are not competing in the competition. That's not what the training hall is meant for. It's like me going to the national championships for swimming and say, hey, excuse me, Michael Phelps, can you get out of this lane? I got to get a couple of my breaststrokes in there. I got to get this workout in there. He's going to look at me like, what the frig, you crazy? Me showing up the national championship football game and say, you know what, I got to do some, sprints on this field. Can you guys just not practice at this moment? Because I got to get on here for like 30 minutes and do something. They'd look at me like, what are you, crazy? Why is it that weightlifting allows it? If you're a coach, in the years past, etiquette was if you're an athlete or coach that wasn't competing but wanted to get a workout in, you did it early in the morning prior to basically the first session, or you did it after hours, after the last session, if the room was available for you. Okay, but you never took away valuable training time for an athlete that's upcoming. Now, it's the only person in the room, there's nobody else around, great. But the second that room starts filling up, what should you do? Cut your workout, done. That 45 kilo snatch that you're a master's lifter, you're trying to get in at 60-something years old, I don't really think is that important for you at that moment. Give it up for somebody else. I've seen American entourage people do that at world championships, and it's embarrassing. They're going like, who's that guy over there lifting on that platform? The friggin' Argentinian team or the Venezuelans can't get on that platform. Oh, that's Bob. He just, he's got to get his workout in. He's got to back squat 100 kilos while this other guy's waiting for like an extra hour for him to get done. That's bullshit. Know your place and your time. Your time is past, okay, for your lifting glory. Either get in before those times or go do a workout in the regular hotel gym or someplace else. Don't occupy that time for people. It then congests the room for those athletes who can't get in and they want to get in, get out. They're not there to be there for 5 hours either. Now they have to wait, and a coach has to wait for you to get, I'm like, guys are doing all these like jazzercise exercises and you're like, are you going to lift anytime soon? Oh, by the way, are you actually competing? No, then get the frig off the platform. Oh, I decided I'm going to make a YouTube video of it. People see me doing a lift even though I'm not competing. This is not the time and the place. And USA Weightlifting has to crack down on that. Allow it only for those athletes that are competing at those given times, and then set up maybe a different time, for somebody else. Back in the day, we would have 1, maybe 2 training platforms. Back in the day before that, there wasn't even an accessibility to training at a competition venue. Next thing you know, we have 20 platforms. We have 30 platforms. It's a luxury, great, but at the same time, I'd rather take those extra platforms and put them in the warm-up area so then everyone doesn't have to share and then give you less training platform. I'd rather deal with that than the other way around. Burning clocks, okay? What does that mean? So burning a clock means that in the order of weightlifting, we go from the lightest weight up, and in some situations, people will put in a declaration weight and not a true weight that they're actually going to take on their next attempt. And in some cases, say an athlete just missed their weight. And normally there would be a 2-minute clock if that athlete was awarded it. In some cases, they'll call somebody else up. And instead of allotting for that adequate 2 minutes of time, someone will put in another weight to then basically leapfrog that athlete. So when someone thought that they had a 2-minute clock, now they're on a 1-minute clock. It's gamesmanship, but again, I have no problem with it. If it's an A session, top A session lifter, or even a high B that you're going for something, but not in a situation where, you know, you're in the bottom of the Bs or anything below that. There was a situation where I've also been in a situation where I could have burned an athlete's clock. And I remember turning to the coach of that athlete and said, hey, we're not taking this next weight. We're on a 2-minute clock. Your guy would be up. And I said, you need more time. And the guy was like, yes, I'd really appreciate you give my kid a little more time. So I basically let our clock run down, our 2-minute clock run down, and then made the change. It wasn't going to affect us. And he gave his kid a little more time, and he was able to go on. Then we flip-flopped going to the clean and jerk, and there was a situation where he had control of the clock, and he, instead of talking to me, giving me the opportunity to say whether I wanted to accept or deny, and if I needed more time or not, he immediately burned my 2-minute clock. He burned that rest interval that would have been allotted for my kid, and I looked at him like, you're an asshole. Like, I went out of my way. I didn't have to ask you if you wanted extra time for your kid, and then when the role was reversed, you didn't do that for me. And it taught me a very valuable lesson that in competition, no one's your friend. But I was pissed, and I was like, you know, fast forward, I had that done to me with my son, who's lifting at a local competition this past year, where he's young. He's 13 years old, and there was a master's lifter there lifting in this competition. In the same situation, he burned my kid's clock. Now, in that particular situation, him and his coach had no friggin' idea what the hell they were doing. You burned my kid's 2-minute clock for no reason, and now we're right back up there, and you could have been more respectful for that. Again, going back to these rules that we talked about of just putting in your next weight, you're at a local competition, don't try to put in a bullshit attempt. Go right to your next weight. Again, if you're not in a position that you're immediately medaling, don't do it, okay? You only look bad, it slows the competition down, and it's not something that we want to do with anything, okay? It just is not respectful to those people. Being respectful to those people. Last thing I wanted to say was, if you are sharing a platform, we had a situation that happened one year right as weightlifting really exploded after 2013. This was in 2014 Nationals. We had 2 athletes lifting on the same platform, and we had just got done the snatches, and we're, you know, mentally getting ready for the clean and jerks, and out of nowhere, this guy shows up, and he starts like jumping on our bar. Doesn't say anything, just starts jumping on our bar for the clean and jerk, and I go, whoa, time out. Like, what are you doing? Well, I'm going to warm up for the clean and jerks. I said, where were you during the snatches? He's like, oh, I was all the way over there. And I was like, well, go back over there. I'm like, you know, we already have 2 people on here. One, you didn't say anything. He's like, oh, I thought we were all friends, and this is like, you know, a good, you know, friendly environment. I'm like, it is, but you don't do that. Okay, again, go back to the etiquette. Plus, you've already snatched on the other side of the room. For whatever reason, stay the frig over there. I didn't pick that spot for you. Now we went from 2 to 3 people. Now, sometimes it has to happen, which again, USA Weightlifting is wrong in doing that, but we weren't adding to now the dilemma of this situation. I was like, go back to where you were, okay? You don't do this. The other big pet peeve I have is that transition period between the last session and the next upcoming session. Again, this is another thing that USA Weightlifting does wrong sometimes, is that they give you very short time period. There was at one point they wouldn't let you in the back warm-up area until 30 minutes prior to the session. Well, that put a rush on that session for people to get warmed up and ready, especially if this session ran long or whatever. But common courtesy, that session is not done. You may ask, excuse me, sir, how many are on this platform? There's 1 right now. Has anyone come up to you and asked you to use this platform for the next session? No. Is it all right if I can? I'm not going to disturb you now. I'm just basically have it after you. Reserve it. Yes, you can. Okay, perfect. You know, don't interrupt that guy. Don't start stripping their bar down to nothing because your kid's got to warm up. They're still lifting. Now, if they go, hey, we're done, you could do it. I'll actually strip it down for you. You know, but ask, you know, and then ask how many people are already on here. We already got 2 reserved. Okay. Now, it's not my job that I'm currently in the session to now abide and help you out 100%. I'm focused on my kid that's lifting right now. So be respectful when you can do that, and you can even ask. And don't like breathe over his shoulder, take up half their chairs, and put all your shit down when their session is not done. Okay? They don't need to have this extra pressure of feeling you breathing down their neck, waiting for the platform. Leave them alone. And again, USA Weightlifting does a horrible job about allowing that situation of having enough platforms and even assigning platforms. In my opinion, there should be no more than 12 people per session. There should be no more than 12 platforms in the back. Everyone is assigned a platform. Everyone gets one. There's no problems. Now, yeah, did you want it to be over here versus over here? That's a different story. Sorry about that. But at least if you had your own platform, like you would see at a world championships or a higher level competition, it creates less problems overall. Does it mean you have to have a bigger warm-up area in the back? Yeah. Well, it means take out some of those training hall platforms and, oh, by the way, maybe not have 10,000 people at a competition that you really can't abide by. Okay, you really can't accommodate that many people. Okay, and then it just becomes this survival mode, which is not good. It's not a way that our sport should be portrayed. Last couple things about etiquette, especially at local and even at national competitions. Not everyone needs their personal videographer following you around 24/7, especially at the local competitions. Now, can they just watch your lifts? Yes. Do they have to watch and videotape every lift in the back? No. Okay, again, unless you're a high-level lifter, Olivia Rees or Hampton Morris that has something on the line, you're an Olympian, you're an Olympic gold medalist, you're an Olympic silver medalist, you know, it's a little different story. You're Steve, who is like snatching 50 as a master-level lifter, does not have to have every lift documented in the back. Okay, I'm saying in the back, where now you're that person, that videographer is taking up space. You are not Simone Biles, where you have to have this, you know, entourage of people that are constantly around you. The back room, again, we already said, it's way too cluttered. A lot of that's USA Weightlifting's fault, but not, you know, in reality, in my opinion, you don't only really need one coach back there. At most 2 coaches per athlete, okay? The fact that there's people that have 3 to 4 to 5, you're only allowed 3 per athlete, and now with the videographers, the emotional support dog, and this, that, and the other thing that are there, you don't need all that, okay? You don't. It takes up, next thing you know, if everyone has this entourage of 5 people and there's 12 people in that session, that's like 70 people that are freaking running around back there that don't need to be there, okay? That don't need to be there. When I coached my athlete at the Olympics in 2012, I basically coached her by myself. I was there, I was loading and running the board basically by myself. Was there another coach there? Yes, but he was there more to help out the other athlete that was another American athlete in that session with her coach versus me. I said, I got this. I said, I got her this far. If I'm going to do anything wrong, it's going to be on me, and I'm not going to put any other blame on anybody else. Good, bad, or indifferent, it's on you, okay, as a coach and as that athlete. You don't need that many extra people. And again, chill out with the videographers, okay? Again, the YouTube influencers and all these other people, like, you just be respectful. And then your camera person is getting a fight with my camera person as to whoever has the best spot to take the camera picture of you getting chalk. Like, that's bullshit. You know, like, you know, enough already with this stuff, okay? You don't need it. They want to videotape you outside, great. You know, they want to watch it outside, great. They don't need to do every second of you every 5 seconds. Again, this is the Olympic trials. You're a high-profile Olympic lifter who's already accomplished something versus you're in an F session of, you know, American Open Series 3 in Cucamonga, like no one cares, okay? You may care, great, congratulations for you, but this is not about you, okay? Be respectful to other people within your sport and how this is supposed to go. The flow of the competition should be smooth, okay? Don't do these dumb things. Thank you very much. Guys, if you have any other questions, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you about questions pertaining to weightlifting, whether it be competition or training. We'd love to hear from you. Take care. I told you, Jonathan York used to say the dumbest shit. He'd like pace and be like, check these weights. They're not right. They're too light. They're too light. And then he'd be like, Frankenstein,